To the drill, before the grill, reporters teaming up to make sure that Governor Mitt Romney got their gotcha questions.
I would just say, do you regret your question?
Your question? Your statement.
I mean, your statement, not even the tone, because then he can go off on.
And then if he does, I think we should follow up and say, but this morning your hands were continuing to send.
I mean, I just want to make sure that we're just talking about no matter
Who he calls on, we're covered on the one question that...
Do you stand by your statement, or do you regret your statement?
All right, that preceded this.
It was a very toughly worded statement last night. Do you regret the tone at all, given what we know now?
Do you think, though, coming so soon after the events really had unfolded overnight was appropriate to be weighing in on this as this crisis is unfolding in real time?
Governor Summers.
You talk about mixed signals. The world is watching. Isn't this itself a mixed signal when you criticize the administration at a time that Americans are being killed? Shouldn't politics stop for this?
Governor, some people have said that you jumped the gun a little in putting that statement out last night and that you should have waited until more details were available. Do you regret having that statement come out so early before we learned about all of the things that were happening?
Meteor watcher Tim Graham watching all of this. Not too surprised. Tim?
No, sadly. Look, you put that in, that's what we saw in the newscasts. That's what we've seen. CNN's asked the same question 81 times or something. This is what they did last night in the evening news. We got about 10 minutes on the 3 evening newscasts last night devoted to how Romney must have made a mistake. And you know what we didn't get? We got maybe 25 seconds from Jake Tapper where they actually asked the question that if we had a nonpartisan good government press, what would they ask? What is wrong with the state of our security at our embassies in the Middle East? That's a question that we ought to have asked, and instead, these people who are all accusing Romney of politicizing this issue have done nothing over the last few hours but politicize this issue. They are a pathetic pack of politicizers.
You know, I'm not surprised. I've seen it myself, you know, when journalists are together and they're out loud comparing notes, what their line of questioning so they don't run over each other. But the whole line of questioning was of the gotcha variety. And maybe there was the same sort of comparison with candidates 4 years ago who were questioning the war in Iraq, or 4 years prior with John Kerry, questioning the wisdom of the war in Iraq. And there was obviously a much bigger, larger struggle and a lot more people's lives on the line and a lot more people's lives lost. I'm just saying, you should be consistent.
I'm just saying I think that there's nothing wrong with a reporter before a press conference saying, I'm going to ask this so that you know that you can ask this. But what they really did was try to line up and all ask the same question 18 times. And that doesn't serve the public. The public wants answers. It doesn't want this kind of, this is an interrogation. It was like a waterboarding. And the sad thing about all of this is that President Obama does an interview with 60 Minutes and he gets asked, did Romney screw this up? I mean, Obama didn't have a press conference. Obama hasn't had a press conference, if I'm not mistaken, since June. So, I mean, this is what's really sad, is that on some level, Romney's getting pounded as if he were the incumbent president, and Obama's still hope and change, you know, running around being a savior on the stump.
Well, Tim, the only thing that stood out to me is that the message was that Romney was playing politics and the president was being asked about that on the way to a campaign fundraiser. Be that as it may, I'm wondering how a challenger responds to these constantly escalating and always getting hotter international developments. Does he just sit on his hands and watch? He can't do that, right?
No, and I think that a lot of Republicans across the country really want Romney to go after Obama's feckless foreign policy moves, and because the news media will not do it, and their whole resistance to Romney says, we don't want to discuss this. We don't want to talk about Fort Hood. We don't want to talk about Guantanamo. We don't want to talk about his failures in the war on terror. We don't even want to acknowledge there is such a thing as the war on terror. We need a news media that actually asks questions of Obama. Obama probably gets tougher questions from his daughters at the supper table than he's getting from Steve Kroft on CBS. It's
well, the bottom line
pathetic.
is they're all fair questions to both. Tim Graham, thank you very, very much. Good seeing you.